All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody in TikTok land. Good evening, everybody in Facebook land. Natasha and I, we got some things planned tonight. Hold on. I'm going to start the recording over here so I don't mess that up this time. You guys ready? Hang on, man. It's going to be fun. Listen. It's going to be fun.
This call is being recorded.
That's right. You heard her. Welcome to the call, everybody. Natasha, it is so good to have you here. It is March the 17th, 2025. It's Buck Rogers' birthday today, I think, or something, probably. Back in the 80s, I think it's his birthday. Wedding anniversary, something's coming up. How are you?
I am great. Yeah, I think it's St. Patrick's Day today, too, isn't it? 17th?
It's an extra day.
I was told this morning. So.
Actually, it's really funny you say that. You're right. Somebody says that today is St. Patty's Day. However, what if I told you that St. Patty's Day is actually a made-up day?
It wouldn't surprise me.
It really is. And here's how that works out, you guys. There's 7 days in a week. I don't care if it's leap year, fart year, it doesn't matter what it is. There's still 7 days in a week. I don't care. So we got 7 days in a week, and we all know that according to creation, there's 52 weeks in a year, right? And if we do the math, which we never do, we get 300, you ready, class? And 64. Now, how is 7-Eleven open 365 days a year? Liars. Not possible. We ran out of days. So here's how they did it, you guys. St. Patty's Day is actually a made-up day. Really is. Like, think about it. It doesn't really do anything. We're over here in America. What does that matter? Because we can put green on? I got green. It was unintentional, but I got green on today. I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
That's where St. Patty's Day comes from, and that is the thing on St. Patty's Day. So I want to welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. Welcome to the call. Lori, welcome to the call. So glad you're here. I'm going to mute you just for now. So feel free to reprimand children, whatever you guys need to do, because it's about to get exciting tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a few things. So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody that's here. Natasha, the screen is filling up right now. I'm so happy right now. Welcome everybody out there in TikTok land, because man, did I get it today. I posted a video about Houston County, Texas today, and they're probably watching right now. Hi, guys. Anyway, I posted a video, just sending love. Anyway, I posted a video about those guys today, and seconds, and I'm talking seconds. It got 2 views. And usually in about 10 minutes, I get 100 views or so. So it got 2 views, and I'm going to find out who those 2 are here. But anyway, no, actually I can't now. Anyway, I got 2 views, and it got flagged twice. And they took my video down completely. So I just wanted to say special thank you to all of my friends out there in Houston County, Texas. And before we get too far into the soup here, this call is for entertainment purposes only. So all of you guys out there in Houston County, Texas, with your little double chins, go start the microwave. It's popcorn time. We're going to get started. This is for entertainment purposes only. So everybody calm down. You guys out there in TikTok land, go back to your coffee breaks. Everything's going to be fine. Nobody's going to get hurt. No feelings are going to get hurt tonight. And if they are, well, it's not intentional. So, it's just not. I mean. And
we also want to include in with that disclaimer that no alcohol, no tobacco is absolutely permitted on here or talked about.
Yeah, we don't talk about doing drugs either. No, nope, we don't do that either. Because what else have we been accused of? Let's see. Misinformation, drugs and alcohol. And we pray with people. Are you serious? It's not like we handle snakes over here or anything. You guys are killing me. But you know what it says anyway. Well, you know what? Welcome to the call, Natasha. I'm so glad that you're here. And, right before the call came on, we were kind of talking back and forth about some of the stuff that you're kind of seeing out there. And there's something new floating out there, isn't there? What's going on out there? This whole $100, the $100 plan. Yeah, tell us about it.
So I ran across a lady. Okay. I don't really want to put any names out there, but I mentioned her to you. I don't want to do that. But she kind of caught my attention, and she, anything that they talk about, like state nationals, it kind of piques my interest because, I still want to be like the mama bear, like, don't do that, and But they, so they were still talking about it. The good thing I was actually glad to hear about that is that she said that the state nationals, to her was like a word salad. It never made any sense. They kept running around in circles, and she had all of her paperwork filled out, but she never sent it in because something like had a conviction of don't do it. Well, then she ran across another guy, and I'm not going to mention his name, but it sounded pretty good. And what it was they were having classes, private classes. I think you paid $100, $150 a month, and you got online in a private group, and they talked about how trusts work. But they still wanted you to change your status from a citizen to a national. And and going down the rabbit hole, of course, whenever I pull up the definitions of both of them, you still don't have as many rights to me as a citizen as you would a national. Would that be correct?
I think so, because if we break down American state national, okay, let's just break that down. So you got the Americas, which is Canada. Geography lesson for you guys out there. Canada, South America, it's the whole big enchilada hanging out there, right? It's all that. It's that big old landmass. It's everything. And then you're an American. So you're all that. And then you're a state, which takes you back down to this little nothing. And maybe you're a little bigger because maybe you're in Texas, or maybe a little smaller because you're in Florida. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But then you're that state. But then you're national. So national means you're in all 50 states. And if you ask me, I think it sounds like a whole bunch of confusion. It sounds like a bunch of people that don't know where they are. Just saying.
Yeah, a citizen, pulling up the definition, holds the responsibilities in the country, typically includes more rights for your voting, your working, to live permanently in the country, to where the other one, they may not have the same full rights as a citizen. So that right there, just in the definitions, tell me that. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to cut yourself down lower?
Well, exactly.
But, so I moved past that, and I was like, okay. And they started talking about revocation of election for your taxes.
Revocation of election for your taxes. Yeah.
Yeah. So from what I understand from that is basically you would fill out a W-2 or a form for your taxes, and to where they wouldn't hold the taxes.
That's that W-4 BEN, right? Is that what you're talking about?
I think maybe that's what it is.
Don't do this. Don't do this. Trust me, I know about this for a reason. So just don't get excited. Don't hang up the phone. Good, that's it. Tim said it was it. Run down the hall. Shh. No. Let us finish. Everybody sit down and calm down. Don't go anywhere. Okay, go ahead. They were about to get excited. I saw them. They were like, oh my God.
For that is it's like ROE or something of that. So, and for me in doing taxes is you have to do some kind of job or sell something to be able to pay money into the IRS, correct? To be able to get it back out. Correct. Unless you have earned income credit or something like that. So why would you want to not have the taxes taken out?
Well, and here's the other part. Yeah, okay, how do you discharge your debt if you're just running around with coupons?
Well, that is when I just like, no, I'm good. You don't lost me.
I'm saying.
Of course, I'm always out there, looking for other people if they have a good technique or if they have something, meeting of the minds.
Sure.
I'm always for expanding the family and getting more information and knowledge.
Exactly.
But
well, you have to consider the source, and I say this: look for fruits. Look, there's a lot of salespeople out there. There really is. Okay. And, for what we do, we don't really, we're an open door to the public. Now, if somebody wants to invest into us, then you know what, we'll invest in you. If someone is interested in joining and going through our classes and Natasha, you've filed taxes already with your trust, and I've filed years of taxes with my trust. And so now, kind of know what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you, in the first couple of years, Natasha, it was all guesswork. It was like this. You were like, ha! And you go, see if it sticks. And duck and make sure it doesn't come back and hit you. You know what I mean? The first couple of years, it was like this. You'd throw stuff and be like, no, I don't live there. You know what I mean? You weren't sure what you were doing. So, no, I get it. But now that we've done this for a little bit, And here's the bigger thing, Natasha. I'm going to tell you, the thousands, and I've had thousands of students literally go through my thing, and over the last 9 years, and nobody has ever said this doesn't work. Tim, this doesn't work. I've talked to your CPA on the phone. I've talked to, and then what? Sean's CPA. I talked to his CPA on the phone. I talked to two of his and two of yours too. And
yeah, you talked to some of mine.
And none of them said, "Oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about." He does, and not a single one said that. Not a single one. No. Matter of fact, they left the table like, maybe I should take his class.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that says something. It says something about what we're doing, and it says something, and it brings credibility to it. And it says that it works, and it concerns me. Tonight I want to. I want to encourage all of you guys, okay? Seek the truth, okay? If somebody says, I have 5 pounds, okay? If they tell you this package is going to get you 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? Make sure it's really a 10-pound package. If they say this is 10 pounds and this is what you're going to get with 10 pounds, make sure there's 10 pounds. Weigh it. And how do we weigh it, Natasha? We check for fruits. We talk to Yahweh about it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you guys so much. We talk to Yahweh. We put him first. We ask for a spirit of discernment. And here's what you're going to see. I'm going to tell you this. Yes, Yahuwah can speak through anyone, okay? But he doesn't. He uses his people. He uses his vessels, okay? Like if you came to my house, you would never get a dirty glass. Natasha, you would never have to check that glass to make sure it's clean, because at my house you're going to get a clean glass. And when you hear from Yahuwah, our Elohim, our creator, he doesn't waste time talking through soda pop cans. He shows up like boom. Okay? He shows up with credibility, and the people he shows up through, they also have credibility. We got to stop digging through the garbage can. Digging through people's garbage cans and trying to find truth. Really. It's just not what we're built to do. And tonight I want to talk about something very important. And this is what you're going to see at Common in a lot of this movement. And I say this movement, I'm talking about people that are waking up. People that are figuring out that, hey, we don't have any money. People that are figuring out and they're believing that you might be a slave. And you know what? You just might be. Because if you don't know what's going on around you and somebody else is telling you what to do all the time, and you're asking for, well, can you just break it down like this, and this? Like you're 4? Come on, guys. This happens. And I get this as a teacher. I get this a lot. If you're wanting to receive this information that way, you're in the wrong place, because you won't get it. And I'm going to tell you, I have laid it out before people, okay? Derek Gonzalez, you guys might know who that guy is. He took my classes. I laid it all out before him. As a matter of fact, I even offered, I was going to just step away, and I was going to hand him everything and say, here, just take this. I was going to pass it on to him. I really was. But I knew he didn't have a disciplined mind. One of the things we talked about in last night's Bible study was controlling this. And what you don't do is give wisdom to a mouth that is foolish. You don't. Because they'll trample it, they'll destroy it, they'll twist it, and they'll use it for bad. Okay? April Lejeune is another person that took my classes. Same effect. And if you Google her name, people don't like her very much. They don't. There's people that really want to hurt her. And she's a nice lady. But something happened. Somebody felt like she wasn't telling the truth. I've been doing this 9 years, and that's never happened to me. Not one time. Nobody's ever said that about me. And if they did, it wasn't true. So, because people that are in this group or in our class group, they don't fail, because we always have each other. We always have a system that works. And tonight we're going to be talking about, and I know this is kind of a tip off, but I want to pull into this other subject tonight. Hey, good citizen, glad you're here, by the way. Glad everybody's here, by the way. And if you guys have questions, man, put them down there at the bottom, man. Natasha and I will answer them. And if you get sleepy, just tell me to be quiet, and I'll let Natasha talk for a little while. She can fill it all in too. She's awesome. And you know what? And as her mentor, as her teacher, I'm so proud of her. I am. And I am so proud of every one of my other students. Those of you guys that are on the call right now, I see you guys that are here. Man, I am super proud of you guys. You know, I'm proud that you're able to stand above these things and look above the board and look above the playboard. Then now you can go back to bed and you don't have to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning waiting for some guy to say one little sentence that you wanted to hear something about that he teased you into giving onto the call. This will never happen. So anyway, let's skip that. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about affidavits. One of the things that I see in this movement is affidavits and the use of affidavits and people saying how powerful they are, right, Natasha? They're always saying, oh, you must use an affidavit because it's very powerful. Why is it so powerful? And what makes an affidavit an affidavit? These are some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. And Natasha, what do you think makes this? What makes an affidavit so powerful? We didn't. Hey, and usually we talk like 30 minutes before this even started, so she was not even ready for any of this. I just dropped all these hot coals in her lap. There you go, done. Anyway, dance.
Well, whenever you say affidavit, I take that as a statement of truth.
Correct.
You know, and then they have to be witnessed from your notaries and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's, you know, you witness something, you write it down as a statement, affidavit, you know, and then, you know, you have so many witnesses that come together and say that it is true. And it kind of goes with your equity hand in hand, you know, acting as such. Would that be kind of correct?
You're absolutely correct. And you're just like, if this was a Mexican hat, you would da, 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 and you went all the way around it, man. So I'm going to take you right into the middle of the chips and salsa now, okay? She's right. She's absolutely right. So what we have to understand in commerce is that you're capturing performance, okay? When you're in a debt system like what we have, you capture performance. I was talking to Lori about this today. If we look at the TT&L window and we remember that Satan always talks backwards. He always does. Because he's just a backwards kind of dude, I guess. But anyway, that's how he rolls, you know. Anyway, I was going to go deeper, but I decided not to. Anyway, so that's how he rolls. He always talks backwards. So we know, no, we don't. But in case you don't know, commercially, people that go to the Treasury window, or businesses more specifically, you can come in, that go to the Treasury window, 2 seconds. I thought I heard somebody knocking. I thought somebody was at my door. Anyway, so my bad. I thought somebody was there. Cool. Anyway, so like I was saying, I hate it when I get interrupted like that. I got to put my head back into that same mold of glue again. Affidavits. Let's talk about affidavits. I'm just going to start over. So affidavits are basically this. What they do, because we have a debt system here, okay? What we do is we capture performance. And what makes an affidavit so powerful is that you're capturing performance, okay? What you've got is you've got a story of two tales, everything that happened, and we're going to talk about those things, okay, too. And we're going to how those things work and those components work. And basically what this is, affidavits are real big and scary because it's a big fat spell, okay? And they're binding, okay? So yes, it is truth between the parties, but this is how the rubber really meets the road here. What happens is this. You perform, you talk about the performance, and now you have a bonded state officer standing with you, which is a notary, saying, that's what happened. And that's how these things work. That's how these things come together. And this is how you know that you have an affidavit. Now, the components of an affidavit is that you must have specificity. So in this movement, we have a lot of people running around telling people to go file affidavits, like that thing. What was that thing you were talking about, Natasha? That don't fall out of the chair now. that I thought we lost you there for a second. Anyway, what was that thing you were talking about? That revocation of something. What was that thing you were talking about that they got? That they were talking about. Remember that? What was it? A
revocation of election.
Right. So
yeah.
And that's an affidavit, right? Hmm. But here's the problem. There's nobody specifically that affidavit is addressing. So if you look at those affidavits, Lori, and you're going to look up at the top, it doesn't say who you're talking to. It just says, dun, 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 and then it opens up like a storybook and it starts talking. That's your first error that you have. So if you don't have a meeting of the minds, there's no performance, okay? And remember, equity is determined by performance. The people acting as such, just like Natasha said. That's exactly right. See, what happens? You pay attention. It's good. It's easy. So, and she pays attention. Anyway, and I hope you guys are paying attention too, because this is completely free. Tomorrow night we do have a class, but we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, that's not that. I mean, it's important, but we'll talk about that in a second. This is much more important. Okay, I want to show you guys why you're failing. Okay, here's another reason why your stuff's not getting filed with the clerk. You're not addressing anybody. How many times do I see these things and they say, and all the cops? I mean, they don't say all the cops. They say, and law enforcement and all government officials and all this and all that and all that. But you don't specify any department. You don't specify any specific people. So who are you talking to? This is a problem in today's affidavits. This is a problem with these people that are out teaching you guys this stuff. And if your affidavits look like this, do not go to them and say, Tim Damron said these are all messed up and this is why and this and this. Don't do that. Because here's why. You can't fix somebody that's already broken, man. But here's what you can do. You can fix you. You can fix where you're at. You can pick up that cross, as they say, and you can pick that thing up and take it and do what you need to do with it. And you can be successful with it. The Bible says that we shouldn't argue about frivolous things. And this is kind of a frivolous thing because you're going to have someone that typically has no schooling. He doesn't have a degree in front of him saying, I have a degree in doing affidavits, or I have a degree in doing this, or I have a track record of doing this. These are just people that just pop up like a jack in a box. They and they just pop up like every 4 years. You notice that? And then they say they've been around for 35 years, like Crooked David. Duh. In 2015, nobody knew who Crooked David was. And if y'all don't know who Crooked David is, well, I'm sorry. Anyway, you don't need to know who he is. Don't worry. It's not worth going there. So, and all these other ones. The only one that was actually around back then, Natasha, was Anna Von Wright. She's the only one that was around. And so what I noticed is that all of these folks were really generating a lot of affidavits and were creating a lot of momentum. And then it would seem like the glove box would get full of papers and then that's it. And they're out of gas. And then next thing you know, they're on YouTube. There goes Derek Gonzalez. He's off in jail again. And I'm not lying. I'm going to tell you, man, that dude has paid some dues. And I love that guy, by the way. I do. I love him to death. I love him like a brother. I do. I pray for him daily sometimes. He's just a good guy. But we don't need to go in and come busting in the door like we're the A-Team or something, like one of those that old TV show. We don't need to come busting in the door like that. That's not how you're going to get things done. When you work privately, you work administratively, and nobody sees what happens. What you're doing is that you're understanding where the dominoes are, and there are dominoes everywhere. Okay, there's a twill on a sweater to pull in every sweater. Okay, I promise you there is. It's just a matter of finding it. Okay, now how do we find it? We find it by weighing everything. We find it by looking at who the teacher is. How did they get this information? And does it really connect? If I told you I was a landscaper and that's all I know how to do, And one day I woke up and I decided that I know everything about banking and I'm the postmaster general and I'm this and that, you guys would all hang up right now. Every one of you would. Shoot, I'd hang up. And that's me. I'd hang up on myself. I mean, just, because there's no fruit in what I'm doing. Okay. But that's simply not the case. That is certainly not the case, and not the case with me. Let's keep talking about these affidavits. So first and foremost, who are you talking to? Okay. The second thing, who are you? All right. Now, this is where the wheels really fall off on a lot of people's affidavits. You ready? Because none of them want to be, you can't be the legal fiction. Why not? Why not? But no, you look at their affidavits and there'll be no legal fiction on this affidavit. Everything's going to be uppercase, lowercase. It's going to be just like that. You notice that, Natasha? It's always that way, isn't it? And I mean exclusively, not both of them, but exclusively that way. So now in my paperwork, it's a little different, and we'll talk about that in class. Those of you guys that take the class, but when you see exclusively that we're just using the living name only, okay? Here's your first and fatal error. The notary, you're in commerce. Oh, no, we're not, Tim Damron. It says that yes, you are. You're in commerce. Don't argue. And here's why you're in commerce. Listen, you're in commerce because you guys are moving in equity. And when you move in equity, that means you're trying to get something done. Okay? That means two people acting like they're married when they're not. They're trying to get something done. You see? It's the same thing. Okay? So all of this production, all of this preparation and typing and this and that and everything that was put together on this affidavit is literally meant to be an unbreakable spell. Okay? Last night I was talking in Bible study about spelling and how important spelling is. Okay? Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is 101, demonic spelling 101. Oh my God, he's a pastor and he's talking about this. That's right. That's exactly right. And do you know that King Solomon actually had demons under his control? And they built everything. And they did exactly what he said. Do you know why? Because he can. And guess who else can? But we got to learn where our power is. And our power is in our truth. Okay? So if you're walking in truth and you're trusting in truth, and that means that you're putting the appropriate things together so you have the truth, nothing will stop you. Natasha, you've seen me in court cases where they just completely run me over there. They do. They run me over backwards, forwards, rights, left. They just lie right there in front of everything. Just make stuff up, everything. And I'm telling you, this is from Bexar County to Houston County. I mean, all kinds of cases. And I put them up because if you're going to burn me like that, everybody's going to see you do it. And that's just the way I feel about it. So I think people need to see this public corruption. So they do. And I put it out there. And it's not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. Don't get excited, TikTok. Y'all calm down. I saw somebody raising their finger. They were about to push the button and get rid of me. Don't do that. It's about to get good. All right. So it's true. And I see people, they're missing I'm sorry. In this whole thing with affidavits, people are missing and they're misdirecting lots of things. Number one, like I said, they're not talking about the right person. Number two, the body. When you're talking about an affidavit, when you're talking about an affidavit, the body of the affidavit is very important. And why is the body so important? Because there's a little element that needs to be in every affidavit, and that's called specificity. That means it needs to be specific. That means your facts need to be specific. That means you can't make an affidavit that really floats that says Tim Damron's a jerk or Natasha's not a nice person. Because one, we'll tell you that's not true. And two, there's nothing to support what you're saying. There's no specificity. Another thing that has to happen on an affidavit, time and place and location. Those are three things that need to happen. Okay? And today, if you guys saw what I was posting on Houston County today, because that's what got me in trouble with Houston County today, and they decided to blackball my videos. But it's cool. They went back up again. And I just made 3 more for them, just like it. It's okay. If we needed to clarify that misinformation, we definitely clarified it today. And here's what we clarified. We started my arrest affidavit in the lobby of Houston County, Texas, the sheriff's lobby, right? I'm inside there. And then we have an exchange of words, and we'll just not go into there yet, but we have an exchange of words. This guy tries to rape me and come in and steal my wallet back from me. Literally, the chief of police over there trying to steal my wallet back from me because I won't sign his paper. Oh, then I got to have your wallet back. How does that make sense? Only if you're like 5. I think if you're 5, it might make sense. But, it's what you're dealing with out there. Anyway, so all this happened. And then I would happen to be within 1,000 feet of Crockett City Park. So you remember what I said about time, place, and location? If you've got an affidavit and it shows you in 2 different places that are geographically very, very far apart, like a mile, then that's a no-fly. That's a no-fly affidavit. And you know what? There's people in this movement that are generating affidavits that are very vague. They're not specific. Like I'm aware of my unalienable rights. Are you? Well, then what are they? Because if you're aware of them, they should be in there. Then you should be able to say what they are. If they're not in there and you just say that you are, there's no performance in your statement. This is the problem, and this is what's missing in our affidavits. This is how you find out that your teacher's full of it, okay? There, okay? This is how you find out your paperwork's not going to get filed. You thought it was. He told you it was, but it ain't going to get filed. There was a guy out when I was waking up called Stop the Pirates. You guys remember? You ever heard of that guy? Natasha, the Stop the Pirates guy? Okay, well, he had a $29.95 you could be free from the government plan. I'm telling you, these guys come and go like popsicles. They really do. They just melt on the sidewalk, I think. I don't know. But anyway, uh-oh. We got in trouble. At least not on TikTok this time. Yep, we got in trouble. We got kicked off of Facebook. They must be watching my Facebook page now. Dang it. Oh, well. Hi, Houston County. I love you guys. Anyway, so like I said, back to what we're talking about with these affidavits. If we're not specifying anything of what we're doing, it's a problem. Natasha, do you remember in the travel and driving class, we were talking about that ticket that I got from Officer Flathers? Anyway, so what he did was I got his ticket dismissed and got it thrown away. And then he decided to get his crayons and go make another affidavit and file it in another court. You remember that? And the one thing that was missing on his affidavit, and the reason they couldn't go anywhere with it, is because they didn't have the time on there. And the place was wrong too. They said I was traveling at 35 miles an hour at somebody's address. You can't do that. Again, specificity, and things have to make sense. You can't just say stuff, okay? And there's a lot of people doing that, not just in the sovereign movement, but in the 3rd grade movement happening in the police departments everywhere, because they don't teach these cops how to write or how to do anything. They just go and beat people up and shoot people, I think. That's what I feel like, because every time you put one of them down to write something, they can't. I mean, they just can't. I mean, for all the laws that they enforce, they can't enforce like normal literary grammar laws. We just can't enforce. We just evade those too. I think that defines a real sovereign citizen, if you want to know the truth. Really does. Because the number one thing with a sovereign citizen is the rules don't apply to you. See, grammatically, the rules don't apply. It's all that way. And they'll always talk their way right out of it. We saw it in Flathers' thing, remember, in class? And he says that I was speeding in a school zone at somebody's address, but we don't know what time it was. Now, that's pretty important if you want to pop somebody for a school zone ticket, I think.
Yeah, I think so, because it's in that set time in the mornings and in the evenings.
Failure to state a claim. Dismissed. Thank you. And I didn't show up for the ticket either. Didn't even have to be there. It was so embarrassing. And in this class, I'll show you how that stuff is done properly. So you don't look bad. You know, you don't want to be haughty, but children will be children. And you know what? If you see one running around in the halls, don't be afraid to blow the whistle on them and tell them, because they'll listen. They will, especially if you write an affidavit. Now, let's talk a little bit more about affidavits and specificity. Okay, so we've covered that it's got to be specific. Okay, we can't testify to things that we haven't seen or personally know. You can't. Here's another thing that you can't do in an affidavit. You cannot come to any conclusions. So, even though I might be a know-it-all, even though I might have a fat head, even though, and it doesn't matter. And you know what? If you want more of those things, talk to my ex-wife. She's got like a whole list of them, I'm sure. Anyway, she'll give you a whole list of those, okay? But if you want all those things, we got to have specificity. It's got to happen. You can't call people names. And here's another thing you can't do. You can't make conclusions. If you draw any conclusions of any kind, which means because he did this and this, then it must equal this. The minute you hear somebody talking like that, I can tell you right now, there's a problem. There's a problem. Natasha, somebody has put something in that person's head and made them a little bit broken. And it usually gets passed down. Here's another thing that guys, gals, everybody, when it comes to affidavits, watch with the cliches. Okay? There's a lot of cliches out there, like sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. Stay out of that basket, that food salad. Stay out of that completely. And I say stay out of that because you don't need any labels. Guys, we got AI stuff that reads everything that you file now, okay? So they don't sit down and read every little piece of information, because the old way of doing this stuff and when I say people that were going into court and they were fighting court cases, stuff like that, the old way of doing this was just filing everything, filing like a phone book worth of stuff onto the court record and making him read it all. And then they just let you go, just like, oh, just never mind. And that used to work until everybody got computers, and then everybody got copiers, and now everybody's got AI, and AI is really strong, man. And you need to be very careful with your affidavits. You need to be careful and watch what you say. Okay? Stay away from these words like, I'm a free man, I'm a free woman, secured creditor, secured party creditor. Stay away from those. Getting back to that Stop the Pirates guy I was going to tell you about. This guy had like the whole package, the $29.95 thing going on, right? And you'd get it, and he'd send you this deprivation of rights. And actually, I use one of his documents in my class. I do. But I tell you, absolutely don't file it. It's got some good law information in there. It's got some really good information in there, but it's completely a faux in case you decide to send my paperwork to somebody else, because it'll confuse them. They'll look at that and go, what's this in here for? What? Yeah, that's because you looked in a file and you didn't go to the class. This is why you need to go to the class, okay? Everything in this class coming up, and by the way, coming up tomorrow night and the next night, we have a 2-night class, and this is all going to be about trust, okay? This is all going to be about UCC filings and trust, okay? Those of you guys that really want to understand the whole living man, straw man thing, you want to understand where these people go, how do they operate, where are they at? Where is public and private? Huh? We're going to talk about that. That's right. We're going to talk about that. He's going to talk about it with us. That's right. And we're going to... He's adorable, by the way. I hear him back there. He's good.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. He's awesome, man. It's like having somebody cheering in the background. He's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. What he said. Yeah. Anyway... Well, because I don't have an audience here, so I don't know what goes on. But hey, man, thank you, everybody, for joining, by the way. So tomorrow night, we have a UCC and trust class. And I'm going to tell you, if you have the right vehicle, you can go anywhere, okay? But if you show up in the wrong vehicle, think about showing up to the next drag race with all your friends out there, guys, in your grandma's hover round. I don't care if it goes 45 miles an hour. Just show up in your grandma's hover round to the drag strip and just see what happens. You're going to get laughed at. Now, will that hover round make it down the... Man, I know of a couple ladies that look like they need windscreens on theirs. They go so fast, they look like a Memorex commercial, but they're sitting upright. It's insane. They just, anyway. But it's still not the same vehicle, and it's still not going to get the job done. We got a lot of folks out there that are telling you guys to separate your social security number and move the dashes over, style it like an EIN and this and that. Don't do that. We got people telling you to stop paying taxes. Don't do that either. Listen to what I'm saying. We should stop paying taxes. I agree. But let's talk about how those taxes actually become payable. They become payable because we're not discharging our debt, Natasha. We're not doing it. How many people are paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for a mortgage every single month, and the IRS knows nothing about it? You're not reporting it. How many? You guys out there? How many of you guys saw the sign at your bank that said, we will only insure your deposit up to $250,000? And then you asked them for a $450 for a mortgage. Natasha did. No, it might have been more than that, but she did. And how does that make any sense? Well, in this class, I'm going to show you how it makes sense. And here's how things operate, guys. Public and private. Front of the house, when we don't discharge all of our debt, you know what they ask for? Ready?
More.
The lights are going to come off. The lights are going to go on right now. This is very simple. They're going to ask for more debt notes. You know, debt notes, offset debt, because you didn't report it. Oh, but they won't let me, Tim. Right? Oh, my tax person says we don't have to report any of that stuff. And you're right. But wait a minute, you just told us that we have to report this. I know. So where am I going wrong? Where are we going wrong? How are we missing this? I'm telling you it's vehicle. Don't you think so, Natasha? It's vehicle, right? Didn't that change everything for you this year when you did taxes?
It did. And actually, when I started holding the people I pay money to accountable, they said, like, what are you doing? I said, did I not pay you? Yeah. I said, then I want my money back, you know? Or they're like, oh. And I said, but I'll let you know in advance. I'm sorry, you know, just like with my insurance company. He called. He's like, what is this? Do we have some kind of contract? I said, no. I said,
yes.
I'll let you know that I was paying it through. I mean, yeah, we did, but.
But it's a private contract.
Like a special. No, he thought maybe we had a special trust contract. Like we wrote up a trust, like I'm this and that and the other. I told him and I called him and said, I am paying you out of my trust. And he's like, okay, no big deal. And he never asked another question.
He better not.
Anything like that. And then when he got, but when he got the 1099 saying that I paid him, he was like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Because a bond, because that's what you're buying when you're paying an insurance policy. You're paying for a bond, and so what you're doing is because of that performance that normally isn't captured. Now he's got, now it's happening. See, this is the stuff that happens behind that FDIC sign, and almost like that, you know, FDIC insured. That's why it's like the biggest thing on the counter, so everybody can hide behind it. I think, I don't know, something like that.
And then my insurance went down a little bit. So how you like that?
I told you. Remember, I told you in class, as soon as you assess your insurance, it's going to go down. And here's why.
It was only like $25, but hey, I'll take it, you know. So.
And here's why. Yeah. And watch next year, it's going to go down even more. And the reason why is because the IRS knows how much insurance costs. Okay? They know how much everything costs. So when they see you assessing insurance payments through your trust, and they're like, hey, hold on a second, that's too much money for they're worried about getting audited. That's why they drop it like that. So they don't want to get in trouble. So they're like, oh crap, we know we're charging her too much. Let's drop it a little bit. Maybe we'll be okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Any trust. Lori is asking, which trust are we talking about? This is any trust. A trust is, think of a trust as like a Camaro. Okay? Did you want to drive the red one or the blue one? Just, they all operate the same. And every trust operates with the same basic rules. This is something we're going to be talking about tomorrow too. And so these guys that have these specific trusts, have you heard them? Like there's some guy named Eon that's got some special name for a trust. It's like a mega trust. Yeah. He decided he was just going to be very ambitious. He's got a mega trust. That's what it is. It's a mega trust and a minor trust. Sounds like a bunch of transformers running around on top of his TV to me, but whatever. But here's the thing. He can't tell you what they do. And then this guy will tell you that one trust works with the other trust, and then you funnel the money back to you again. But the problem is the payout when it comes to you still has to be assessed. It's not free money. It still has to be assessed, because the minute these funds leave your trust, it's like a petty cash drawer, And if you don't have a receipt, you stole it. Just simple as that. And under trust law, it works the same way, actually. So
you can embezzle.
Yeah, that's embezzlement. I mean, you're embezzling stuff from your funds. That's what you're doing. Yeah. And this is what a lot of these teachers are telling you guys to do. That set up a bunch of shell companies and to move here and move here and move here and move here. Let me tell you, that's the mind of a criminal. Okay? We should be able to walk and talk and speak just like Yeshua did. His yes was yes, his no was no, but he knew exactly where he stood all the time. And we should know where we stand all the time too. This class I'm doing tomorrow is all about that. It's all about separating who's the straw man, who's the living man, okay? We're going to finally decide that. And we're going to put it in paper. We're going to put it on a contract, and you're going to perform. And this contract's going to work as an affidavit because we're going to have witnesses. And then once this thing is built and it's done, nobody can take it apart. And I mean nobody. And, I've actually heard sometimes my students have walked in and they've tried to open a bank account. And they said, if you had a revocable trust, we'll open a bank account. But an irrevocable trust? Oh, no. And here's why. And here's the difference between the two. A revocable trust means that you can change the beneficiaries at any time. That means if there's a ruling that says, you know what, Natasha, you suck today. So you know what, you get nothing. And they could write you right out. Just like that. That means the bank could say, you know what, I don't like the way she came in the bank last time. I can't think of anything bad to say about Natasha. I try, but I just can't. She came in and said something bad when she came in. That's the best I can come up with. Anyway, I suck. Anyway, so let's just say that something like that happens and they then you know what? They could write you out of that situation. Well, our bank policy states that we found a clause where we can tell Natasha to go pack sand right here. And when you have a revocable trust, you give that power over to the fiduciary. And the fiduciary absolutely can do that. But when you have an irrevocable trust, you can't change the beneficiaries. You can add beneficiaries. You can modify the beneficiaries. You can reduce their percentages, but you can't eliminate them. And nor can anybody else. This gives the power to you, the grantor, the creator of the trust. That is a benefit. I know. You get these other guys that talk about all kinds of superhero stuff and whatever with trust. Look, trusts are very simple, okay? And I will tell you, trusts are simple because what they do is they're an entity. They're like a holding company that holds property for the benefit of your beneficiaries. And when you start operating out of trust, people, those of you guys that are selfish out there, just keep flipping. This is not for you, okay? If you're self-centered, selfish, self-gratifying, if you got self in front of anything in your life and that's how you roll, just keep flipping. This is not you. And here's why. When you put stuff in trust, you give it away. You don't own it anymore. And what I see in a lot of paperwork is I see them handing over ownership to the living person in a lot of cases, huh, Natasha? That's what I see. I see them saying, okay, we're divorcing ourselves from the straw man, and we're now the living person. And now he gets to do everything. That's what he can't. Because the living person's job and function, even if you're an atheist, is to submit to Yahuwah, submit to our Creator, submit to the Word. You remember what Yeshua told Nicodemus? He said, that which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of spirit is spirit. So this matrix down here is down here to trick you. It's down here to make you look at your credit report more than you look at your Bible. And for some of y'all, that's true. Shame on you. Seriously. Because your heart's in the wrong place. Or maybe it's just commingled. And I got to tell you, more often than not, it's commingled. So stop listening to those preachers beating you up, telling you what a bad person you are. You're not a bad person at all. None of y'all are. I was just kidding. What you guys are is commingled. All of us are. You know, we're kind of like step parents. You guys ever been step parents? Anybody out there? What happens? The women start teaching the little boys how to be men. Doesn't work. Men teaching little girls how to be little girls. Doesn't work. I mean, they try. I mean, we try to put our ponytails in our daughter's hair, and we try all kinds of cool tricks and stuff. But at the end of the day, that's y'all's department. And that's what you guys roll in. You know, that's how it works. That's how these whole things work. But we are kind of like step parents or single parents, really, in this whole game of the straw man and the living man. Because we're forced to do and commingle all of our commercial activity through who? The living person. And look at all the crap that it creates. I mean, it's great for everybody else, Natasha, because they can discharge all of their debts off to you. It's great for your employer because he can send you a W-2 and you work and he pays you $83,000 that year. And then you file the W-2. They give you a couple $100 for showing up at H&R Block, and your employer gets $83,000 back in tax credits. That's exactly what happens. So, would you say that we're slaves? Maybe. So how do we get ahead of that? Well, we need to understand that highway works both ways. So don't look at it and say, oh, it's not fair. Oh, look what they're doing to us. Look it. Don't do that, David Gonzalez, or don't do that, Gonzalez. Don't do that. That Derek Gonzalez thing, don't do that. Okay, it'll make veins come out in your head and everything. You'll be mad. Don't do that. Okay, make you grow old too, get you wrinkles. Don't do that. Be an opportunist. Don't be a scoffer. Okay? That's what a scoffer does. A scoffer sits on the corner. He's got no solutions to anything. And they beat on their chest till 3 a.m. and they make you guys get on the phone with them for nothing. Come on, you guys know you've all done this. We've all sat on the phone waiting. I was on the phone with Patrick Devine years ago, waiting for some truth. Waiting. You know? Meanwhile, my Bible's sitting over there getting dusty. My Bible's sitting over there, and I'm forgetting those words. It says, you know what? Yahweh inhabits the praises of his people. You know what? I don't need to listen to that guy anymore. So when people ask me, who'd you learn from? Who'd you get all this information from, Tim? How did you figure it out? Well, I went and talked to these people with no fruits on their trees. Beautiful trees, very tall trees. They look great. They're watered. They're green. They look strong. No fruits. But I went and I talked to these people. And I talked to a bunch of them. Anthony Williams was one of them. Private Attorney General. And this guy, well, let me tell you, I was pretty impressed back then. This guy got a badge and a common law gun. He did. He actually went to the New York Police Department and applied for it and got it, and actually got a badge and a gun and everything. And I was like, wow, look at this guy. This is how crazy things get back then. And trust me, they're just as crazy now, so don't scoff. Okay, so anyway, this guy starts showing up for people. He starts showing up for foreclosures. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this guy might be able to do something. Next thing you know, he's serving 28 years in prison. That's where he's at today. That's exactly where he is. Why? Because he was showing everybody his tall trees, but he had no fruits. And a lot of people ran off the cliff with him. Just like Yeshua sent all those evil spirits with the pigs off the cliff. They just ran right off with them. Lots of people got hurt. Winston Shroud, lots of people got hurt with that guy. What is that other guy's name? I can't think of his name. He passed away a couple of years ago. Jordan Maxwell. I knew him personally too. Talked to him. You know, got sucked in for just a little bit. But then you know what? I figured out this guy knows a lot about history, but he's really mad at Yahweh. If you listen to his stuff, you're going to hear he's really bitter. He's very bitter about Yahweh. He's very bitter about religion. He's very bitter about Jesuits and all that. Because when he gets talking about that, there's something personal that comes up. Okay, and this is what I noticed from him. This is just my opinion. But these are the things that I noticed, and I noticed that he was doing. And this is how you control people. When you start dropping little nuggets of knowledge like this, but you're not really solving any problems, you're just getting people's attention. And you're preying on people's ambitions. I've seen this happen with people with foreclosures. I've seen this happen with people losing their businesses. I've seen this happen when people are in the lowest points of their life. And I'm going to tell you, choose wisdom. Seek wisdom, okay? Whoever you're talking to, if they don't have fruits on their tree, get them out of your life. Yeshua said it very clearly. He said it very clearly in the parable of the fig tree. When he cursed the fig tree, he cursed it and he threw it in the fire. And some of us have walked through that fire. And look what's left. I've walked through that fire. And look what's left. I'm still here. Everything. And it works. This stuff absolutely works. Walking in truth will absolutely do it. Now, Natasha, tomorrow night, we got the UCC and trust class. We cover kind of the straw man, living man relationship in the first day. What is the best part about the second day? I love the second day of class too, but I mean, what's the best part of what we talk about on the second day? Because there's lots of stuff we talk about.
How to actually put all this into motion on how to file it and how to present it. I mean, there's one thing of writing all this information down and, you know, doing your affidavits, doing your commercial security agreements, you know, all the other stuff, you know, that you got to do. But if that's all that you're doing, then basically you're, like you say, you put it in the glove box and ride around with it. But you need you have to file it, you have to make your presentments, and you have to put everybody on notice, more or less, like, hey, this is what I'm doing now, this is who I am, and this is who my straw man is, you know, and this is how I'm going to start living my life. You know, it's a lifestyle change. It really is.
It is, and this is why I say people that are selfish really struggle with this. And I have to say the biggest failures I've had in my class, and I've had some, are people that are selfish people. People that are out there chasing their own ambitions. They're trying to beat the system rather than disappear in the system and just go away, you know?
Yeah, I think though, but people though, whenever you say give everything away, technically, yes, you are giving it away, but you have control over that, you know? So what I like the most is, so if I have children over here and children over here, I know that this child is good with money and I want to let them be my beneficiary, to where this child over here might be a little knucklehead and might, you know, spend all the money and not use it wisely, you know, so I might not want to put them in my trust right now. You have the right to do that. Like you said, if they straighten up or whatever, you can always add them in, but you can't take them out. But it's for their protection. And, you know, it's just, you don't want to wait until something happens at the end and they're fighting over it. They're doing this and that. And, you know, you're setting them up for their future, you know, and your grandchildren and so forth, and leaving them something worthwhile. But also, my goal is to actually be able to teach my child to be able to do this for her children and great-grandchildren. So that's what I mean, it's a lifestyle, you know. So it's being knowledgeable about not just what you're spending, how you're spending, you know, how do you get your money back, how do you, you know, as far as being able to recoup it or discharge it, you know. So
I love the way Christine says it. How do we get our money points back? That's how Christine says it. She says it all cute like that, but that's not how that works. But she does. She just got her own little language she's made up over there. I got to get my money points back. She's doing 4 years of tax. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I was talking about with the insurance. I mean, yeah, you might pay $300-400 a month, but once they actually see that you're assessing that and you're watching over your money, they're like, okay, she knows what she's doing, and that's where you kind of get to step in and say, I'm the boss as the administrator, in a sense, and, take control over that. And so it's just really nice to be able to learn about everything. And, it's about being able to sit back and lay back to where whenever I get off work, I can go spend time with my family, but
and shut the lights off.
Somebody sends me a presentment. Yeah, somebody sends me a presentment. I'm taking care of the money. I'm taking care of all of that. That gives me the time to be able to do that. And I think that's one of the funnest things in the class, because I'm starting my foundation, with this class here. It is a little bit of paperwork, but look at it from the time you were in high school and even in kindergarten. That's when they started commingling you. So it's going to take a little while to uncommingle and to learn the process.
It's just it takes a little while to wrap your mind about it. I think that because like she was saying, it's a lifestyle change. I mean, your finances are going to go completely different, but it'll work.
Yeah, my biggest thing was just, running that debit card and not realizing we were spending $70 at the steakhouse, or we were spending $300 here, or, how many subscriptions did I have to Netflix, Disney, this and that and the other, And I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, no, this, when you actually get to see what you're spending and, just kind of taper down on that. Because the way I look at it, the more that I spend and not watch over it, that's the less I get to give to my children.
That's correct. That's correct. No, and I mean, you're absolutely right. The second day, we're going to be focusing a lot on actually building the trust itself, showing you guys where the components of the trust, and we're going a little over tonight, but I don't mind. I hope you guys don't mind. But, we're going to go over the components of the trust and where you are in the process, and what do you do as the administrator? And what's really cool, I got to say, this is like the best part of being that guy. When you're that private person that nobody cares about, like when you're the Frito-Lay guy, you lose your name completely. Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? Those of y'all that work in office buildings, and the Frito-Lay guy shows up, and then we got the Coke guy, and he shows up and he does the Coke machine, right? And these people don't even have names anymore. They're just the Frito-Lay guy and the Coke guy. This is operating in the private. You see them. You hear them, you might even talk to them. But at the end of the day, you don't care who they are and you don't know who they are. Think about the last person that checked out your groceries at the grocery store. Do you know who that person is? Most of us don't, unless you're weird. No, I'm kidding. But most of us wouldn't pay attention to that, because this is an example of somebody that's operating in the private. So how did Yeshua operate in the private? Ho, ho, ho. You ready for this? This is a good one. When he said, I'm about my Father's business. That's when Yeshua was operating in the private. When he told these people, I'm about my Father's business, that changed everything. He was no longer that little kid. He was no longer anything else. He was in a capacity, okay? And that's the same capacity we need to be in. Because if we're not about our Father's business, you're about somebody else's business. And we can't serve two gods. Can we? Can we? Or should we? We can't do that and be effective. Okay? So how do we split this up? Like I said, that which is born of flesh is flesh. That which is born of spirit is spirit. And Yeshua was addressing the living person versus the statutory man, or the juristic man, the straw man, whatever. He was addressing that then. And he's telling you there's a difference between the two. He told the rich man, when he said to him, and he said, hey, what's it going to take for me to get on this monkey train with you guys? I want to be with you guys. I'm loving what you're doing. It's a great production. Looks good. I saw the water and the wine show. It was excellent. How do I get on board? And Yeshua destroyed this guy. and told him, you're going to have to give up everything that you have and then take up your stuff and follow me. Now, why did he say that? Because this guy built his kingdom here. This guy commingled his whole everything into his stuff. Hold on a second. I got to move this little thing here. There we go. I did it right. Okay, awesome. Anyway, he commingled everything into his stuff. How many of us have done that? How many of us have a place called Trump Towers? I'm just saying. How many of us are really this commingled? And then what did you do on the other side? We're not. So if we're serving, and we're solely serving our juristic man, our living man, we're not serving Yahweh. And better yet, you don't even have the opportunity to, because you're too busy trying to keep the lights on. You're too busy trying to keep the car payments paid. You're too busy. You're just too busy, man. And then what? Sunday comes around and we decide we're going to be religious on Sundays? We got to change that. And Natasha, we change that by putting order in our lives. We change that by separating the carnal man, the living man, from this juristic man. Okay? I didn't say destroy him, because we're going to use him too. Okay? But we're going to do this thing right. If you guys are interested in joining this class, I have limited seating. I have 3 seats available. No, I have 2 seats available. Somebody signed up today. I have 2 seats available in this class. Call my office tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Central Time. No, 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. And I'll get you into this class. Okay? The prices of the class, they start as low as $175. Okay? There's some different tiers that go from there. Okay? So if you want to just come in and check out the class, see that I'm not full of it, you know what I mean? Don't take too big of a risk, but just put your little toe in the water and just go through this class and experience it. Ask the questions. See what we're trying to show you here. Okay? This is a new life. It's a better life. It's a better way of doing things. And once upon a time, we all used to live this way. But things have changed. It's time to get back to the basics, you guys. If we learn how to do this properly, they'll stop taxing the crap out of you guys. They'll stop taking your stuff. You know, when you hold on to money, what do they want to do? They want to charge you for it, right? If you have a whole bunch of money in your bank account, they're just going to charge you for it. They're going to charge you for having it in there. You know, when I used to do business commercially, they used to charge me to count my change. You would think that would be like automatic. You would think that would be like, you know, that's just dumb. But they do. Huh? So we got to fix this. Tomorrow night, I'm going to show you how to operate in commerce. I'm going to show you how to operate publicly and privately, all at the same time. Nobody sees you. You're in control of everything, but you own nothing. This is going to be an amazing class. This is a game changer. Call my office tomorrow. I've got a couple seats left. 210-605-0144. We'd love to have you. And you know what? I'm going to close out tonight. And Natasha, what do you got anything you want to close with? Thanks, man, for being here, by the way. And Lori, thanks for being here, too, by the way. And all of you guys.
You're welcome. Yeah. Actually, I loved your explanation on the affidavits. That was just mind-blowing. I loved how you actually just broke it down. I understand it a little bit more, so thank you for that. I would really enjoy the UCC class. This is your foundation. This is your truth. This is how you start to learn how to break away, you know, and all that. So, I mean, it's a really fun class, but then, you know, there are continuing classes that follow suit with that.
Yep.
But this is where you get started. And Tim's amazing. He's very truthful, very honest. You know, ask him the questions, try to stump him.
Please do.
But yeah, yeah, the classes are amazing and well worth it. But I'd just like to thank everybody for joining and all the questions, and I hope everybody has a really lovely night.
Me too. Thanks, Natasha, for being here. You guys you're amazing, and I'm just so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're awesome. And we'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Be blessed, everybody, and be well. You guys have a good night. Good night, you guys.
Call recording off.